welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai. This is the first Thursday of 2022. We're so glad that you could join us tonight. Now, we are starting with good news that petroleum products, the prices might be going down thanks to Kipevu Oil Terminal. We do have the details on that. And also in the DRC, they are likely to join the EAC next month. They have undergone 8 out of the 10 steps that are required. But even before they're done, it seems like the youth in Goma are already taking advantage of the region. We do have that story for you. And it's sports, basketball quarters. Karen Kibet has that story for you and much more action. Let's start this bulletin, but first, the highlights. A game changer in the oil industry. The 40 billion shillings Kipevu Oil Terminal to be the biggest in Africa once commissioned in April this year. Trailing the killers, police pursue armed bandit who shot dead 6 people in Tigania, Meru County.
We are confident that we are going to find a solution to this, and this will be a story to be told in the future, but a good story. We are going to resolve this matter completely.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i stops further evictions on the controversial Mukuru Njenga slums land. Welcome back. Lenso Odingo is our sign hand interpreter. And remember, I would like to hear from you. Tell us what you think about the bulletin and what other stories you would like us to cover for you. We're looking forward to your feedback. Remember, KBC on Twitter, on Facebook, and also on Instagram. I will be reading some of your comments. Now, to a story that I had earlier highlighted, where Kenya will double the capacity of handling petroleum products when 40 billion shillings new Kipevu Oil Terminal becomes fully operational later this month. President Uhuru Kenyatta, who toured the terminal, said once commissioned, the facility will be the biggest in Africa and will be able to handle 4 oil vessels discharge fuel at once, reducing waiting time and cutting down on damage costs, hence bringing down the prices of petroleum products.
Welcome, Your Excellency.
The new terminal, which is an offshore facility, will handle 4 ships at a go, each carrying 190 million liters of fuel, making it the biggest in Africa. The project consists of 4 berths, whose total length is 770 meters, and 1 workboat wharf at the sea area for landing facilities. The facility also has 5 subsea pipelines, which were buried 26 meters under the seabed. The terminal also has provisions for handling 3 types of white oil products, namely aviation fuel, diesel, and petrol. It will replace the old Kipevu Oil Terminal, which was built in 1963 to serve the East African Oil Refinery, which later became Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited. President Kenyatta, who toured the facility, said the new terminal will go a long way in reducing fuel prices and making the precious commodity available in the market, hence uplifting economic development.
This terminal, once fully commissioned, as you heard from the minister, in a few weeks' time, will result in a saving of almost 2 billion shillings that we are currently paying every year because of demurrage occasioned by the long queues of vessels parked outside our harbor waiting to discharge their product.
The president said once the facility begins operations, the country will save Kenya shillings 2 billion every year on charges accrued through delay of docked oil tankers waiting for discharge.
With the completion of this project, those delays will be a thing of the past, and those benefits will directly relate to the pockets of our people. I believe that this is what development is all about.
The head of state was in the company of Chinese State Councillor and Minister of Foreign Affairs Wang Yi, lauded the socio-economic partnership between the two states.
A partnership with China is not a partnership based on China telling us what we need. It is a partnership of friends working together to meet Kenya's social economic agenda. The old KOT, which for many years we have struggled with, was not able to meet the demands of an increasing population, to meet the demands of a growing economy.
Wang Yi said the friendship between the two countries began 600 years ago, which has made his country to contribute immensely through economic development projects.
600 years on, the Chinese engineers and technicians, following the illustrious footsteps of navigator Zheng He, have come again to Mombasa and helped build the best railway, the best road, and the best oil terminal we are witnessing today. And the facts speak the loudest, and history is the fairest judge.
Reporting for Prime Edition from Mombasa County, I'm Michael Mondiga.
The government has ordered cessation of any activities in the controversial Mukuru Njenga land to tame growing tension in the area. Speaking after meeting elders from the controversial land, Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i said his ministry is currently in talks with the landowners and other relevant bodies, including Nairobi Metropolitan Services, so as to get a lasting solution to the problem.
The government has moved in to calm the growing tension in Mukuru Njenga following months of push and pull over the ownership of the controversial land. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i has ordered cessation of any activities in the land.
Cessation of any of those activities going on at Mukuru Njenga. The surveying and everything else is going to be handled by the government alone. We will engage immediately with the landowners because we respect property rights. We will talk with Opit Chemicals. We have already opened up conversations with them, and the government is going to remain engaged with them to see how we find a lasting solution. This is not the first time we are doing that. This is how we sorted out Waitiki in Mombasa. This is how we have sorted out challenges in other parts of the country.
The CS says the move is aimed at enabling the national government have talks with the landowners and other relevant bodies in a bid to get an amicable solution to the land tussle. This even as he warned politicians against meddling in such sensitive affairs for their own political gain. Matiang'i has in the meantime cautioned the security apparatus against using excessive force while carrying out their duty, even as he condemned the recent incident in the area where police injured innocent civilians.
We are not going to have those types of things happening in some of our urban areas like we saw on the 25th. Those who engage in this will be called to account, and we have actually called some of our officers to account. We must now adopt a very reasonable, balanced, and sensible way of solving problems. It cannot always be force.
Lands Cabinet Secretary Farida Karone says an audit will be done within 1 month's time to ensure there is proper documentation of the title deeds issued to locals in the area.
In a short time, we hope that in a month or so, we should have finished the process of documenting the people who live there, documenting their parcels of land, auditing the titles which are there, because as you know, some titles have been issued to some of the residents there.
The meeting happened amid tension after rowdy and irate residents of Mukuru Njenga pitch come out of the meeting wondering why they were not involved.
Kama ni kweli wanafanya kitu ya ukweli, wangekuja kwa ground, wapate watu pale kwa ground, waongee na watu pale kwa ground, sio kukuja kuficha CS pande hii nyingine ati wanajaribu kutengeneza majina yao pande hii na watu wanaumia kule.
President amepeana directives ya kwamba hao wale wananchi ambao walibomolewa pale wanastahili kukuwa resettled hapo ndani mahali walikuwa wanaishi. Wale wananchi sio wale ambao ni wanunuzi wanakuja kununua. They are millionaires. Wanakuja kubomolea manyumba za maskini fukara.
Led by Embakasi South Member of Parliament Julius Musili Wamawadhi, the residents are now calling on President Uhuru Kenyatta to intervene and compensate Orbit Chemicals Industries 6 billion shillings that was earlier agreed so that the land can now be owned by the community.
Sisi tunaomba rais, tafadhali utusaidie kuresettle watu wetu, kwa sababu tarehe 29 March 29th 2015 the president alioda Ngilu ambaye alikuwa ni CS wa lands wakati huo resettle hao watu, na huyo mwenye Orbit Chemical akue afidiwe ama apewe compensation.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Security officers in Meru are in hot pursuit of raiders believed to have killed 6 people in Tigania sub-county this morning. The 6 victims were allegedly killed by people believed to have crossed over from the neighboring Isiolo County. Meru County Commissioner Karuku Ngumo, while confirming the incident, attributed the killings to tussle over pasture.
The early morning incident that has left 6 people dead is alleged to have happened after herders from the neighboring county crossed into the fields in Mukuru village of Meru County with their camels, and after they were alleged asked to leave by the locals, all hell broke loose.
Saa hii tumeweza kupata maiti ya watu 5 ambaye tumeweza kuwapeleka kwa mortuary, lakini kuna mmoja ambaye alikuwa amepigwa risasi jana akapelekwa hospitali na akaaga.
The incident raising tension and panic in the area with some local fleeing.
Saa hii nimeweza kuagiza kwamba askari waletwe ndio waweze at least kutuliza area kidogo.
Meru County Commissioner Karuku Ngumo said such incidents can't be avoided if the communities in question embrace dialogue instead of resulting into deathly attacks.
Zile kamati za marisho ambazo zimekuweko na kidogo zimeshindwa na kazi, hapo nitahakikisha kwamba mimi mwenyewe wanaelewa kazi yao, na hawa jamii wote wawe na kikao, tutapanga wakutane waweze kuongea, manake shida tu niyo marisho.
The officers have launched a manhunt for the alleged attackers. Yusuf Far reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, Deputy President William Ruto says Kenyans will resist attempts to reintroduce an imperial presidency through the back door. The Deputy President said plans were being hatched by some individuals who think they can control Kenyans by reintroducing the imperial presidency.
Speaking in various stopovers in Vihiga County on Thursday, Ruto said Kenyans voted overwhelming for the 2010 constitution to, among others, get rid of imperial presidency.
We want to tell those out of contempt and out of arrogance they think they can appoint their puppet to be the leader of Kenya, to run the affairs of our nation, to protect their interests and to protect their wealth, that we will not accept.
He said Kenyans were more enlightened than before and they want a government that can transform their lives. The Deputy President noted that Kenyans in their millions will elect their president, who is going to serve them equally besides creating wealth and opportunities for them.
Kenyans in their millions will elect their president, who is going to serve all Kenyans equally, who is going to create wealth for the millions, who is going to create opportunity for every young person and create jobs for our ordinary 4 million young people, and make sure that the effort and the sweat of every Kenyan counts.
The DP also said the bottom-up economic model is being embraced across the globe, saying US President Joe Biden is a proponent of the same model.
We are telling our competitors we are changing the economic model. The trickle-down economic model has benefited few people and impoverished millions. Even the United States have accepted that a bottom-up economic model will make many millions to be able to live a decent life.
Area MCA Douglas Isumba called on the DP to join forces with Oka leaders Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula ahead of the August elections, saying Western people are behind Ruto's presidency.
Sisi tunasema hata mheshimiwa Musalia pia akisimama peke yake hawezi kutengeneza serikali. Tunasema kama watu wa sehemu hii, Mheshimiwa William, tunataka tutume wewe enda tafuta wakina Wetangula, tafuta marafiki zetu wakina Mheshimiwa Musalia, tuhakikisha ya kwamba serikali inaundwa.
Now, the showdown over the contentious party bill is now headed to the Senate. This is after the National Assembly approved the Political Parties Amendment Bill last night. The Senate Speaker called for a special sitting next Tuesday to deliberate the bill.
Senators are set to be recalled for a special sitting next week to consider the Political Parties Amendment Bill the National Assembly passed last night. Proponents of the bill argue it will instill discipline in the political parties, even as it seeks to anchor in law coalitions as political parties.
The idea of having a political parties is to instill discipline in that political party. Secondly, is to ensure that party ideologies is respected. This is happening globally. Mahatma Gandhi identified 6 big sins that one can commit in his book. And one of the sins includes politics without principle.
It is likely the hard stances witnessed in the National Assembly during the 2 special sittings may play out in the Senate as well. The bill will require the input of the Senate because it affects the election of members of County Assembly. If Senate approves the bill as passed by the National Assembly, it will be sent to the President for assent and subsequent implementation. However, should senators amend the legislation, it will have to be taken back to the National Assembly for consideration. In the event senators introduce drastic amendments to the bill, it will be subject to mediation in a committee comprising members of the Senate and the National Assembly.
This bill, if in the event the Senate even do a comma, I will have another opportunity on this floor to deal with this bill.
Mr. Speaker, they've been talking to us about numbers outside there. When they have come here, we have discovered the numbers they are talking about are telephone numbers. They are not numbers of members in the House.
Gishoki Washira, Prime Edition.
Laikipia Governor Nderuto Mureithi now says his appointment to chair the ODM leader Raila Odinga's campaign board will not derail his ambition to defend his seat in the upcoming general elections. The governor also noted that though he welcomes the appointment to serve the ODM chief, his loyalty still remains with the Party of National Unity, PNU. Zainab Said reports.
The governor, who alongside Elizabeth Mayo were appointed to lead the ODM campaign board, has vowed to be on the gubernatorial ballot paper come 9th August this year. Mureithi claiming that though he is being touted to be Raila Odinga's running mate, his heart was elsewhere.
Kitaifa, mimi nilishatangaza zamani kama miezi 6 iliyopita kwamba mimi uchaguzi ujao mimi nitachagua Raila kuwa rais wa Kenya.
The Laikipia governor has, however, assured his unwavering support for the former prime minister, saying the ODM chief understands the country's economic challenges.
Mimi natafuta rais ambaye anaelewa hivyo. Na nikiangalia wale wote wamesema wanataka yule, naona anajua na anaelewa yenye namueleza ni nani? Ni huyu Odinga.
This is as Bomet Governor Professor Hilary Barchok urged the government to speed up the process of issuing identification cards to youths above 18 years to allow them participate in the general elections.
Tungependa kuwasihi watu wetu wafanye campaigns kwa njia ya amani. Hasa sisi viongozi tuwaongeleshe watu wetu na tuwahimize kuwa sisi ni kitu moja, sisi ni wana Kenya na kuna haja sisi tupigane.
And the Youth Congress for Change has unveiled a series of undertakings ahead of the August polls that includes mobilizing citizens to register as voters, as well as conducting civic and voter education, among others.
To support and mobilize for action, especially with grassroots, community-based and civil society organization. We all know that since 2002, when the NAC government came into power, the vibrancy of civil society has really gone down. And for our democracy to work, we really need a vibrant civil society.
For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
The coronavirus positivity rate Thursday dropped to 22.1% from 25.6% on Wednesday after 2,336 people tested positive for the COVID-19 from 10,558 people tested in the last 24 hours. 7 patients succumbed to the disease, all of them being late deaths reported after conducting a facility record audit. According to data from the Ministry of Health, a total of 1,176 COVID-19 patients are currently admitted to various health facilities. Now, moving on.
2,336 people tested positive for the deadly COVID-19 disease from 10,558 people tested. The total confirmed positive cases are now 306,686. According to the Minister of Health, a total of 10,356,914 vaccines had been administered across the country. 5,956,101 people are partially vaccinated, while 4,347,094 are fully vaccinated. The daily report further reveals that another 23,147 doses have been administered to those between 15 and 18 years, while 30,572 are booster doses. Governments across the world are tightening restrictions as the Omicron continues to drive up COVID-19 cases globally. The number of people in hospital with coronavirus is at its highest in Britain since February last year. New figures show amid increasing pressure on health services. Election rallies have been cancelled in India as its mega cities experience a surge in cases. While China is pressing ahead with its zero COVID-19 policy and tightening rules in an attempt to stamp out new clusters. Meanwhile, Philippines president said people who have not taken COVID-19 shots will be arrested if they disobeyed stay-at-home orders as infections hit a 3-month high. Purity Museo, Prime Edition.
We are in Sabaki Magarini constituency, Kilifi County, here to retell the tale of the Malu customs, and this is my culture.
To bleed for my art, and I'm willing to make you bleed too.
What we've been seeing in terms of flu-like symptoms among many Kenyans has everything to do with the Omicron variant that was reported by the ministry.
If you have the so-called flu symptoms, go for COVID testing.
As a country, should we trust what other countries are doing?
For Kenya, I can assure you, most of the kits that we have, or all of them, the ministry had already strategized for this.
Do we have an end to this pandemic?
Yeah. A virus takes hours. So within an hour, a virus could have replicated 10, 20, 30 times. Now, when you're talking a date which is 24 hours, the virus could have undergone 1,000 replications.
Welcome back. It's time for business. Now, Kenyans will have to dig deeper into their pockets to afford a meal in the next months. According to the National Drought Management Authority 2021 report, poor short rains means maize production will be lower by 70%, while the area under food crops is estimated to be 50 to 65% below normal.
The price of a 2-kilo packet of maize flour that currently retails at an average of 120 shillings might increase in coming months. This after the National Drought Management Authority says maize production could reduce by 70% this year due to poor short rains in most parts of the country. The National Drought Management Authority says as at 30th November last year, the country had a stock of 19 million 90 kg bags of maize, but that has since dwindled as it is estimated that Kenya could have a reserve of only 8.2 million bags by the end of March this year. This against a consumption of 3 million bags a month. The reduced production is exacerbated by threats of an invasion of fall armyworms in some counties and the maize lethal necrosis disease. The National Drought Management Authority's warning comes after farmers in the country's maize belt warned of increased maize exports to neighboring countries.
Countries is not there. Tanzania, the same, we don't get a lot of maize. So all this, in a nutshell, has contributed to a deficit, which is making the maize from Kenya, actually, to be of high demand in the neighboring countries. I understand that Southern Sudan is buying at a very good price.
On its part, NCPB says it has so far bought 10,000 90 kg bags of maize since it increased its buying price by 300 shillings to 3,000 shillings per bag last month. To afford a complete meal, Kenyans will have to spend more as the general acreage under food crops is estimated to be 50 to 65% below normal as crops wilt due to poor rains. The below average rain also saw 15 worst affected counties lose a total of over 1.4 million animals, with northeastern counties accounting for almost half of the livestock losses. The report by the National Drought Management Authority says the number of people in need of food aid rose to 2.8 million in December 2021 from 2.1 million in August due to poor short rains.
Tea transportation costs are set to reduce following a deal between Kenya Railways and the Kenya Tea Development Agency (KTDA) to ferry the produce via the standard gauge railway line from Nairobi to the port of Mombasa for export. Kenya Railways Managing Director Philip Mainga says the deal will ensure that tea transportation is faster, safer and more convenient and translate to more income for the farmers.
The Kenya Tea Development Agency moves about 300 million kilograms of processed tea between tea factories and the port of Mombasa for export annually. Under the partnership between Kenya Railways and the Kenya Tea Development Agency, tea from KTDA managed factories will be transported from the tea growing areas to the Nairobi Freight Terminal, where it will be loaded onto Kenya Railways wagons and subsequently transported to the port of Mombasa. The maiden trip from the partnership saw KTDA transport 31 containers of packed tea, which translate to 800 tons via the SGR. President Uhuru Kenyatta says ferrying tea using the standard gauge railway has helped reduce transport costs by nearly 4 times.
Today I'll be going to inspect as we leave here the SGR that has transported our farmers' tea down to Mombasa. Previously, to deliver one container from Nairobi to Mombasa would cost an average of 60,000 shillings. Today we are able to deliver that container for 17,000 shillings. That is a direct saving that goes to the pocket of our farmers.
The Kenya Railways Managing Director Philip Mainga outlined the Kenya Railways guarantees large volumes of cargo transported over shortened transit times due to high haulage capacity and the high speeds of the trains. He says the partnership between Kenya Railways and Tea Development Agency will lead to decongestion on the roads. KTDA is piloting 20,000 packs per week as it continues to streamline the process for full migration from road to rail transport. Kenya Railways will soon commence transshipment of cargo from the standard gauge railway on the meter gauge railway line at Longonot Station. This move will ensure that cargo is transported seamlessly via rail from the port of Mombasa to Malaba and Kisumu. KTDA is setting up a tea handling facility next to Nairobi Inland Container Depot and will handle all teas for onward transportation by Kenya Railways. Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
Now, this is a story that will leave you inspired. 13 years ago, some youths from Mathare slums in Nairobi County decided to transform themselves into an income-generating group through the Jirani Mwema Self-Help Group. After trying different ideas, the group eventually settled on the making of shoes from goat hide. Their production line is at the Kariokor market, and our reporter Yusuf Farah spent an afternoon with the shoemakers of Kariokor and filed the following report.
At the Kariokor market, a busy atmosphere welcomes us to the stall owned by the Jirani Mwema Self-Help Group. The young men are wrapped up in their business. Theirs is a story of making leather shoes from goat skin. The Self-Help Group, formed in 2007 and registered in 2008, started off with a venture in table banking before venturing into different businesses to earn an income.
So tukaanza kusave, tukaelewana na members wenzetu, tukasema wacha tujinyimane. That is to save kitu. At the end of the year, kuna kitu fulani tunaweza pata.
Several business ventures and savings later, the team agreed to invest in the shoemaking business after sharing ideas with their members. Their venture receiving a shot in the arm thanks to a 100,000 shilling loan from the Youth Enterprise Development Fund.
So, sisi kama wana Mathare, kuna kitu kunaweza anza ama kuna kitu tunaweza fanya ndio at least watoto wetu na wa Kenya wanaweza vaa viatu kwa ajili ya jina ya Mathare Jirani Mwema.
The business manager walks us through a normal day in the office.
Tukishanunua ngozi tuna trace hii pattern kwa ngozi ndio tupate kitu yenye nakaa kama hii pattern kwa ngozi. Tukishaichora hii pia tunachora hivyo, hii inachorwa 4 na hii inachorwa 2. Hiyo ni kiatu pair moja complete.
From the initial stage, the now cut and sewn skin is taken for lasting, which involves shaping and sole fitting.
Tuseme kiatu kiweka sole kama saa hii inafaa ichukue muda kama 12 hours ikiwa hapo kwa bao bila kutolewa, ndiye hiyo sole ikauke jina yako ikiwa moto, na hiyo gum pia ikauke. Sasa tukiweka jioni, sheria viatu nafai inasema hiyo kiatu nafai tolewe kesho asubuhi. Hiyo ni kiatu itakuwa complete, itakuwa ni kiatu strong.
This is then followed by finishing.
Sasa kiatu kishatolewa kuna kwanga na overlap ya gum. Gum inaweza kuwa imetoka kama hii imetoka hivi, wanatoa hiyo gum, then wanafanya finishing ya ndani, vitu kama insoles. Wakishaweka insoles, waweke stickers, waweke number, then wanapiga rangi. Kiatu kishapigwa rangi, hiyo ni kiatu yenye iko ready, inaweza uzwa.
On a good day, the business can fetch up to 15,000 shillings in sales. The team makes a variety of shoes from boot, laced and non-laced shoes targeting school-going children, all from genuine grade 1 leather. That's not to say the venture doesn't come with its share of challenges.
Materials kama saa hivi bei inazidi kupanda. Unapata ukienda kwa duka leo, unapata hii ngozi kwa certain price, ukienda kesho unapata hiyo price imeshoot. Ni price nyingine. Naye kubadilishia customer immediately bei, hiyo ni kazi.
Bado tuko chini in business. Sababu mpango zetu ama zile program tuko nazo kama wana Mathare bado iko chini sababu ya fedha.
Despite the challenges, the young entrepreneurs would rather hammer away their struggles than involve themselves in what the society has seen as the norm of the youth in the informal settlements.
Unaweza chafuka, yes, but at the end of the day unashika pesa safi inakusaidia. So naambia hao mayuta huko watafute kazi yoyote, si lazima wakae tu kwa mtaa wafanya crimes.
Si watu wengi wanaipenda sana wasichana hawapendi kazi. Hii kazi iko na pesa na ni kazi inasaidia kama umeka akili hapo.
Wengi wanadharau vijana mshahama, wanadharau Madare. Ati Madare hakuna ile kitu mzuri inatokea Madare. Lakini sisi kama wana Madare tulisema in future tunaweza reform Madare ikuwe mali imejulikana ama mali imeshimiwa.
Thanks to their resilient and serious nature, the self-help group has not only made firm and steady breakthroughs in their lives, but are also now able to make ends meet for themselves and their families.
Niliingia hapa nimefanya business for 3 years alafu nikafungua pia yangu. Mimi niko na yangu sasa hivi. Nina run peke yangu, hata mimi nimeajiri vijana.
Our background is not that good. So imenisaidia sana pia kusaidia watu nyumbani.
Mimi naenda shule, kuna time naenda shule na najilipia mwenyewe, najitegemea na hii business.
The group has now applied for a second and enhanced loan of 200,000 shillings from the Youth Enterprise Development Funds, with plans to expand the business.
From the Madare informal settlement to the Kariakor market, these young men are slowly but surely demystifying the myths surrounding the lifestyle led by the youth from the informal settlements, and at the same time achieving financial independence to better their lives, one leather shoe at a time. Yusufar reporting for Prime Edition from the Kariakor market, Nairobi.
I'm a happily married man, my friend. Aren't we all?
God, I'm used to seeing him so much on TV, I hardly ever get surprised anymore.
I've been waiting for that call.
It's rude to keep a lady waiting.
You and Miss Makeup over there have been getting a bit too hands-on.
Don't hate the player. Hate the game.
He is my husband, okay?
He is getting out of control. And he's going to get you down with him.
You can't leave me. I love you.
Welcome back. The Democratic Republic of Congo is likely to be admitted to the East African Community Trading as early as next month if it completes the remaining 2 steps for admission. Ministers involved in trade and foreign affairs from DRC are expected in Nairobi next week for a meeting with officials from the EAC Secretariat to finalize the process. Ahead of this, the youth has already tapped business opportunities. I was in Goma where I interacted with 2 Congolese entrepreneurs sourcing their wares from Kenya, Rwanda and Uganda and are upbeat about the DRC joining the East African community. One of the main objectives of the EAC is to increase trade within the member states. Now, the youth seem to have already discovered the benefits of the EAC. I'm just going to take you through a business that buys its supplies from all over Africa, and also its customers are beginning to show up from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania and Rwanda. Let's find out more.
Welcome, Cynthia.
Bonjour. We talked to 24-year-old Alice Zananika, who in partnership with her sister set up a makeup studio in Goma, DRC.
Back in the days, Congolese women were seen like, even in all over Africa, they were talking about Congolese women. In the time of Mobutu, we were all every time very smart, good hair, always looking good, and yet, yeah, it's a big thing for us. Yes. We like looking good. The services that we offer is makeup, bridal makeup, casual makeup, everyday makeup, and we also sell products from all over the country. We sell some African brands because we want to promote our own brands.
2 kilometers away, we meet 23-year-old Esther Bishweka, who is one of the biggest flower distributors in Goma. Esther, who also operates a restaurant in DRC, says she owes her business acumen to living and growing up in Kenya and Uganda.
I left here when I was 11 years old to go to Uganda, Rainbow International School, and then I went to Kenya for 4 years and a half, Brookhouse School. That's where I graduated from high school. But I had to learn English really fast. In 3 months, I already knew how to speak, and then the writing got up after. So in Uganda, it was really hard, but in Kenya, I'd already known some English, and they speak Swahili. But people in my school, most of them were also international, so it was really nice.
Both Alice and Esther say they source their supplies from the East African Community member states.
I have a friend of mine we went to high school with. She lives in Nairobi and she studies there, and she's the first person I will call if I need something from Nairobi, because like you guys, people from Nairobi, they have like these big malls and you can find exactly what you're looking for. It's not like here in Goma. Sometimes I need something but I cannot find it. It's the same thing in Uganda too. If when you go to the mall, you have like these brands already there. You have like MAC Cosmetics and everything, and yeah, you can shop from there.
In Rwanda, even the variety of flowers we get other than roses, they also get them from Kenya. So for me, I'm really excited because we're going to have all these varieties of flowers, and later on I'll show you how we set them up.
The two say direct flights between Nairobi and Goma have positively impacted their businesses by easing and shortening the period taken to restock.
We have a direct flight from Goma to Nairobi, Jumbo Jet, and they reassured to us that by January or February there's going to be a cargo which can take up to 1,000 kg, so 1 ton of merchandise and stuff like that.
I will say it in one word, that means opportunity. It's a huge thing for us, and we are thankful.
Esther plans to expand her flower business as well as facilitate a skills transfer to the Congolese.
I want to come to Kenya and visit a couple of farms and see how they are, because here we have farm spaces that are not exploited, and why not do farms? I'm very excited, and to consult people who sell plants, maybe who can sell to us here and then we can plant them, but also not just that, but also florists, professional florists who teach us about plants, who teach us about watering them, even when you have this, how to put in a vase, why a certain length, why is it important to remove leaves or to leave them, and how to wrap flowers, and deliver them to people.
The EAC Gender and Community Development Department is negotiating with development partners to support a youth exchange program for sharing opportunities and best business practices. Back to Kenya now, where farmers in Kisumu have been urged to take advantage of the conducive weather conditions in the area to increase the acreage under chili. Soki Shing, a farmer, says that there is need for farmers to adapt practices that will see the produce meeting international standards, especially for those eyeing the export market.
Preparation of these red chilies is on at this 4-acre farm in Kisumu County. This will be part of the first export batch from this farm that will be on Saturday from the Kisumu International Airport. Soki Shing, the owner and manager of the farm, says the area is very conducive for chili farming. The red soil, he says, supports the crop.
There is a lot of potential here because of the fertile soil. It's red soil. It doesn't retain water because this green chili doesn't need a lot of water.
He is calling on area residents to increase the acreage under chilies. He has, however, cautioned that there is need to maintain high standards during production for the crop to access the lucrative international market.
One should plan in such a way that they should have a buyer. They should have the export license. All the documents by KEFIS are approved, complied with, like the shed net is their requirement and many more. So yeah, that's how one should shortcut. Obviously one will lose money, so you follow the book.
Soki has also offered to train farmers on best farming practices and offer connections to markets abroad.
We have the contacts for the buyers. We can give them an idea of outgrowing and we buy from them. And because obviously they don't have buyers, they cannot fly there, so they can go through us and make this place 100% and booming in potential.
He says chili farming can be instrumental in uplifting the living standards of farmers in the country.
All right, time to change gears now. It's time for sports. Sevens training is coming up, and also the basketball quarters with Karen Kibet after the break.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hii ya maisha ni msimu, bonyeza *811*759#.
Maisha ni misimu, kuna kupanda na kung'oa. Maisha ni misimu, kuna kujenga na kubomoa. Maisha ni misimu, kuna kulia na kucheka. Maisha ni misimu, kuna vita na amani. Tazama, Mungu wa misimu anaenda kubadili mwaka wa kilio uwe kicheko, vita viwe amani, bomoa.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya maisha ni msimu, bonyeza *811*759#. *811*759#.
Kazi yenu ni kuchoma shule, si ndio? Mimi sijachoma shule. Nataka studio huko visitoka alafu natoa hii ni ukichwa ngumu wanajiekelea huko shule. Huyu mtoto akuagi kichwa nini nyumbani. Mimi nanyorosha huyu mtoto kabisa.
Nalipianga mtoto wako school fee.
Wewe unaweza kwanza tuanzie hapo.
Wewe unanikipianga school fees.
Unaongea aje?
Ulikuwa hapo uchunguzi kifanyika. Ndio useme ati sisi ukiwaangalia unatuona wapi?
Wewe ongea na huyu mama kwa heshima. Hebu angalia kaka mtoto.
Wagedhomo rada.
Wagedhomo sasa ni nani?
Sasa wagedhomo.
Welcome back. I do hope you're holding up well. It's now time for us to take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, the double world deaf athletics champion Simon Kibai and Tokyo Paralympics women's 1500 meters T11 bronze medalist Nancy Chelangat are among the nominees for 2021 Sportsmen and Women Living with Disability. The winners in the two categories will be announced during the 2021 Soya Awards Gala to be held on the 25th of this month at the Puhungu Stadium in Kakamega. The gala date had initially been set for 19th but was moved to the 25th of January. This will be the first time the Soya Gala is being hosted in the Western region.
Simon Kibai and Nancy Chelangat are among nominees fighting for the awards of Sportsmen and Women Living with Disability 2021 during the SOY Awards Gala set for the 25th of this month in Kakamega. Kibai, who won the men's 10,000 meters and 5,000 meters titles at the 4th World Deaf Athletics Championships held in August in Poland, will battle for the award against Eric Sang and Felix Kipruto, who represented Kenya at the 2020 Tokyo Paralympic Games, and Wilson B, who won silver in the 1500 meters at the World Athletics Grand Prix in Dubai in February. Kibai claimed the 10,000 meters gold on the first day of the championship in Poland in a season best of 29 minutes 44.44 seconds before leading David Kipkogei to a 1-2 finish in the 5,000 meters final in another season's best of 14 minutes 25.19 seconds. Chelangat, with her guide Geoffrey Malel, was the only athlete who won a medal for Kenya at the 2020 Tokyo Paralympic Games with the bronze in the T11 1500 meters race. She clocked 4 minutes 45.58 seconds in the final. Chelangat will face off with fellow Tokyo Paralympians powerlifter Helen Wawira and rower Asia Mohammed and Beryl Atieno. Chelangat had earlier clinched 2 gold medals at the Dubai Para-Athletics Grand Prix. She won the 1500 meters race in a duo sweep with Mary Waithera, where she clocked 4 minutes 57.51 seconds before sealing a double with victory in the 400 meters.
And may the best win. The national sevens team head coach Innocent Simiyu has included 4 players from the national 15s team Kenya Simbas in his training squad ahead of the Spanish tour of the World Rugby Sevens Series. The team is preparing for the Malaga and Sevilla Sevens tournament slated for the 21st to 23rd and 28th to 30th January respectively.
Slow walk out onto BC.
Simiyu has named fly half John Kubu, who was impressive during the Simbas tour of South Africa in November, as well as John Okoth, Timothy Okwemba and Derek Oshihundu in his squad. The tactician has retained 4 players who featured in last year's Safari Sevens tournament: Benson Salem, Achidishi Okwesa, Zeden Maro and Hannington Wabwire.
And they double down on that mistake, double penalty, ball is loose. And can you get the first points?
The team is currently training at the Kasarani Stadium, having open training on January 3rd. Shuja are preparing for the Malaga and Sevilla Sevens tournaments, slated for 21st to 23rd and 28th to 30th January respectively. In the Malaga tournament, Shuja are in Pool D alongside France, Canada and Wales.
The Kenya Basketball Premier League will enter the quarter-final stage on 22nd to 23rd January at the Nyayo National Stadium Gymnasium and Makande Indoor Arena. Defending champions Ulinzi Warriors will face Lakeside, while Equity Bank will take on Africa Nazarene University in the ladies category.
Defending champions Ulinzi Warriors, who have had a good run this season, will be aiming to replicate the same performance that saw them bag the title last season. Ulinzi Warriors will take on Lakeside in the quarterfinals, while Equity Bank will face Terra at the Nyayo National Stadium Gymnasium. Eldones Platinum will host former champions KPA, while Thunder will be up against Blades. In the ladies category, Equity Bank will take on Africa Nazarene University, KPA will face Strathmore University, University of Nairobi Dynamites will be up against Storms, while Baobab Blazers will face Neosasa. The semi-finals are slated for 5th to 6th February.
The National Olympic Committee of Kenya, NOC, has opened an institute that is set to run from February this year with an aim of educating youth from all sports federations on Olympics and offer scholarships. This was confirmed by NOC's Secretary General Francis Mutuku, who said the institute will run in collaboration with International Olympic Committee, the IOC.
For the first time in history, National Olympic Committee of Kenya, NOC, will have an institute that will bring together youth from different sports federations who will also benefit with scholarships.
Everything is up and running as we speak. Right now, the institute, we have already appointed people. We are waiting for them to confirm. Immediately, the federations also give us additional people. The start of date for everybody is 1st of February. But in terms of the National Olympic Committee initiating and running those programs, they are ongoing. In terms of the program for scholarships for Paris 2024. We've already invited application from our federations, and we shall be making a decision on the recipients within probably the next few weeks.
Elsewhere, Kenya will for the first time host the Practical Shooting African Championship, the Kenya Open, in June. This was confirmed by the Federation's President Mohamed Vayani, who was recently elected the first Vice President of the African Federation.
Yes, for this particular event, Kenya will be hosting is the first time in our history. Practical shooting, Kenya Open practical shooting. We are looking at 200 shooters, maybe 60, 70 400 shooters. Already 15 countries from all over the world have shown interest, and the numbers are growing.
Meanwhile, Vayani confirmed that Kenya received equipment donation from the world body that will help in preparing shooters for major international championships. Frederick Muki for Prime Edition.
Now on to matches AFCON. Egypt, Guinea-Bissau, Nigeria and Sudan form Group D of the Africa Cup of Nations, which will be held from this Sunday to 6th February in Cameroon. Group D teams will take to the pitch on the 3rd and the 4th day of the continental tournament, with Nigeria taking on Egypt on Tuesday, while Sudan will be up against Guinea-Bissau. Group D is our focus today on the AFCON countdown with just 3 days to go.
The first Egyptian national football team was constituted in 1920. It was the first African national team to compete in the Summer Olympics in Belgium. The team is the most successful team in the African Cup of Nations, having won the tournament a record 7 times, including the inaugural edition in 1957. Egypt was the first team outside the American and Europe to participate in the World Cup. Nigeria played its first official game in October 1949, while still a British colony. The country first appeared in the African Cup of Nations in 1963, when they were drawn in group with Sudan. They did not advance to the next stage. The team's first major success was a gold medal in the second All-African Cup of Nations to follow. In 1984, 1988 and 2000, Nigeria reached the Cup of Nations final, losing to Cameroon. They have won the Nation Cup 3 times.
And that's all we had for you tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. Do have yourself a peaceful night. I'll see you tomorrow with more sports stories. But for now, I hand you back to Cynthia Nyamai.
Thank you, Karen. I'm just going through your feedback because we do value your feedback and your views. There is Peter Onyeng, who says that he is also inspired by the shoemakers of Kariakor. Indeed, yes, I was also inspired by that story. And also we have Hannah, who is talking about the EAC integration and the story that we had for you from the DRC, asking if we could share more about the business opportunities. We will have stories about the DRC and especially Goma in the next couple of weeks in the EAC time that is set aside every Thursday, so you do not want to miss that. If there are any other stories that you would like to hear more about, remember you can watch it on our website. That's KBC, and you can also have a look at our social media pages where we do have live updates for you on Twitter, Facebook, and also Instagram. For me and the rest of the team right here in studio, we wish you a very good night and thank you for joining us on the first Thursday of this year. Have a good night.
cab driver walikuwa hapo nyuma wakaanza kuitana, "We Juguna!" Tukasema wacha tuende na hii for this particular trip, then going ahead tutafuta hiyo jina kali.
Yes. They are so supportive, very, very supportive. Even now that they know I'm Kenyan, they are still supportive.
I was just not able to be surrounded by people that were unkind.
Yes.
Because I didn't realize that for so many years I was so weak and so wounded that I had been pretending